secular philosophy, there was a need to draw down from a higher attribute. Speaking Kabbalah, the attributes that were in conflict one with the other were both called Chochmah. This is the first of the 10 attributes. One was challenging the other. In order to draw down an additional energy and a dosage of more strength to the sacred side, there was a need to draw down from a higher attribute. That attribute is referred to as Kislev, the crown. That's higher than the 10 attributes. So Chassidus tells us, where did this come from? It wasn't like they were looking into they were looking to heaven, draw it down. It was found in the pint of oil that was sealed by the Kohen Gadol. What connection does the high priest have with Kesher, with the crown? The answer is that all the events, everything that takes place in this physical world, is an example of attributes that function in the higher worlds. We have a table here, so Hasidus explains the table here. L'maylo is considered gvura, strictness. Menorah is considered chesed, generous. Everything in this world has delicate features, spiritual features, which are in the higher worlds. An interesting example is, what Hasidus explains is a rooster. A rooster in this physical world wakes up a person. Wakes a person in the time that it starts singing its song. Now, the rooster in this physical world stems from a higher world. When we look in a higher world, someone that's doing the same function, that is also called a gever. A gever is called a rooster. Who is the angel in the higher world? Gabriel. Gabriel is the rooster that wakes up the Jewish souls to come into Gan Eden to hear Torah from God, from the Almighty. He wakes them up, and therefore he is actually a physical example, a physical reflection of what is happening in the higher worlds. Of course, it's mentioned in that discourse that if the rooster would see Gabriel, he would really lose himself, because we're talking here way up, can't even measure it in miles. But we have to remember, everything that's in this physical world is happening in the higher worlds. And here comes in an interesting thing that a person has to question: how does it relate to me? How does it relate to me? So the answer is, there's an interesting Mishnah in the Talmud that it says, in Pirkei Avos, in the Ethics of Our Fathers, it says, Dam alamayla mimah. You should know what is above you. So the Mezritcha Maggid, who is also his day of passing, was exactly the 19th of Kislev also. He was the teacher, the master of Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Passed away on the same day, 26 years earlier, on a Tuesday, Vayesha. And he said, he took the Alter Rebbe by his hand and he says, you should know, Yutas Kislev is our Yom Tov, is our holiday. And both of them, one passed away on Yutas Kislev, and his Talmud, his disciple, was freed from prison, Yutas Kislev. So the Mezritcha Maggid says the following: Dam alamayla mimach means you should know what's happening above. So he gives a deeper insight. Dam alamayla, you should know that whatever is happening above, mimach, is dependent on you. You, in this physical world, are instrumental in implementing the highest revelations, which at this point cannot be revealed because this physical world is not a vessel for it yet. But eventually they will be revealed. It is like a treasure box that we're just investing in it, and then eventually we'll be able to open it. But this shows the potential of a person in this physical world. A person in this physical world has the potential to turn over worlds. He has a soul and he has a body. And as the Rebbe mentioned in a talk, in one of the talks, the Lubavitcher Rebbe mentions that the Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi tells us that a soul is part of God. It's mentioned also in the prophets, in Iyov. Chelik elokam emal. It's part of God from above. The Alter Rebbe, Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi, adds the word mamish, literally. So the Rebbe once said in a Fagregin, a very interesting word. He says when a Jew is walking the street, it's a piece of God. And then he says, kavyochel, as if. And then he says, no, rather without a kavyochel. Take that off also. Which means literally the potential that every one of us has is something that we're sometimes underestimating. We can accomplish, we have a mission in this physical world. The mission is that a person should accelerate in doing goodness, in doing kindness, in doing spiritual commandments. And this is the way we connect with God. We connect with the Almighty through a mitzvah. What is the word mitzvah? Mitzvah means tzavsa v'chibur, an attachment. For example, a person that is sitting in his room, a very big sage, a very big, brilliant person that is sitting in his room and he's sitting and is working on different philosophies, comes one day, he needs an errand. He needs somebody to do something for him. He approaches someone that he never had any conversation with him, he never exchanged a word with him. And suddenly he tells him, you know what, I need you to go down to get me something. What happens then? Two things happen then. There's a relationship that is developed between the two people. And another interesting dimension, there is this person that's doing the errand has entered into the world of this wise person. He is in his world now. He is somewhat significant to him. He's doing an errand for him. The same thing, this is a parable for the commandments. Hashem has given us commandments. By doing the commandments, we connect with Him. We connect with Him on the highest level. Even more yet than angels. And the reason is because angels are considered standing in one place. Neshama, souls are considered progressing. Mahalchim. Which actually we're going to have it in the Haftarah of Shabbos Chanukah. On Shabbos Chanukah we have the Haftarah. The prophet says, the ones that walk between the amongst the ones that are standing. It was in 1950, there was a group of students that traveled here to learn under the auspices of the previous Lubavitcher. Young students. They went by boat. This is how they traveled then. 2 weeks. They arrived here. They were asked by the customs, what did you come here for? That we came to study in Lubavitch. They said the rabbi in 1950 passed away in the last 2 weeks. They felt very lost. They didn't know what to do, young students. They said, we'll go to 770 and we'll ask the one that brought us, who was the son-in-law, the older son-in-law of the previous rabbi, what should we do? And they came and they asked him what should they do. He selected them to come to study here. He said, I don't know, ask my brother-in-law, who was later the Rebbe to become the Rebbe. They asked the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said, if my father-in-law told you to come here, you belong here. And you should remain here. They remained here. And one of them became the Chazer, the one that would review all the Rebbe's talks, Rabbi Yael Khan, who was one of these students, one of these young boys. It was half a year later. The Rebbe turns around by the Fagregin, by the gathering, and by a certain gathering, Shabbos Breishis, and the Rebbe says, where are the Israeli Bocharim? Where are the Israeli students? So he told the Rebbe, he named them, they're standing here and here. The Rebbe says they shouldn't be Eindim, they should be Mahalchim. They shouldn't be standing in one place. They should progress from one level to another. Which means basically, somebody that is alive, the sign of living is when it grows. When something grows, we know there's a sign of life. A person needs to accomplish every day, has the potential to accomplish additional things. In the same sense that a person eats every day, a person has to remember also that there needs to be an elevation, in a spiritual sense, in a physical sense, that a person accelerates every day, and therefore, and then he reaches higher goals and higher assets, and every year he receives higher, he finds himself in a higher, I don't want to say the word brackets, because that's actually your April 15th reminder, but basically, he receives higher standards. A person has a birthday, it's a new year for the person. And a new year for the person means that the person has an elevation there, and he receives the energy, and the energy was given to him, and therefore he needs to actually use